In the great pantheon of know-it-alls, no one can eclipse Julius Caesar, Alex Trebek, or C-3PO. Yet everyone has a little know-it-all voice inside, ready to say, I knew that. So for decades, we've blindly believed age-old stigmas about an illness with unimaginable pain, while hindering its prevention, leading the March 13, 2014 New Yorker to reveal that suicide is now an epidemic. We are increasingly efficient at treating cancer, stroke, and diabetes. However, the October 8, 2014 U.S. News documents, we are devastatingly inefficient at managing mental health, causing suicide to become the only top 10 cause of death to increase annually, ranking at a 25-year high. Experts argue that because of our complacency, suicide has become its own contagion, prompting Donna Cumming, whose husband, aged 61, died by suicide, to share her desperation with the Survivors of Suicide Support Bereavement Association, June 2014. If it was meningitis killing people every day, there would be panic. We're scared because we can't see it. It's no different from any disease. It has to be treated. We must take steps to stop suicide, a taboo issue on the rise in every demographic, including groups previously thought immune to what Pulitzer Prize-winning author William Styron describes as anguish that kills because it can no longer be borne. First, we'll investigate the heartbreaking trend of suicide. Second, we'll inspect what's causing its escalation. And third, we'll uncover solutions for an act claiming over 100 American lives daily. But as Live Science April 1st, 2014 points out, it's not inevitable. It's anything but. For 20 years, Officer Kevin Briggs withstood the bone-chilling wind of the Golden Gate Bridge while intervening in over 200 cases of people threatening their lives. Yet before this, he, like many, had never faced the reality of suicide. Taking more lives annually than war, murder, and natural disasters combined, a World Health Organization 2014 report calculates someone dies by suicide every 40 seconds worldwide. The Economist February 2nd, 2015 reports that over 41,000 American lives are lost each year, with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention reporting that the economic toll is more than $44 billion annually. After finding her daughter unresponsive, Natika Bird wept to the March 5th, 2015 Las Vegas Review-Journal. She made a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Suicide is bigger than you think. And with each death, this sparks tragic ideas in others. The May 20th, 2014 Ottawa Citizen cites Dr. Ian Coleman's study, concluding suicide is a contagion, and one person's suicide influences another's thoughts or behaviors, regardless if they knew the deceased. Groundbreaking suicidologist Jill Fisher explains in the August 22nd, 2014 Australian that when you hear someone died in a car accident, you're unlikely to die that same way. But when someone dies by suicide, you immediately enter that at-risk group. Although white males have been most afflicted, the CDC February 6, 2015 uncovers women and baby boomers show increases up to 60% in the last decade. In fact, each younger generation faces a higher risk of suicide than prior generations, even while life expectancy rises. Corey McGowan, son of suicide victim and former Maine state legislator Paul McGowan, sums up in the August 13, 2014 Portland Press Herald. The lesson is how quickly this can happen. We wished we would have known how serious it was. 10 years in, Officer Kevin Briggs lacked formal training, believing suicidal people couldn't be stopped and were crazy, which is similar to ongoing ignorance held by individuals, our psychiatric care system, and the media. Kevin Briggs could hear drivers yelling, "Go ahead and jump," when intervening, which is reflected in lawmakers' agendas, which are shaped by this individual misconception. Suicidal people cannot be saved. The October 9th, 2014 USA Today charges the National Institutes of Health, the largest source of research money, spends more on diseases killing less Americans, like HIV, breast and prostate cancer, and Alzheimer's disease, compared with suicide's small budget, which has been shrinking since 2011. And America simply shrugs as the CDC promotes winnable priorities such as traffic deaths, although suicide costs more lives. Even more alarming, the September 6, 2014 Huffington Post stresses that the mental health field views suicide as an orphan topic, with only 2 U.S. states, Washington and Kentucky, requiring prevention education for mental health professionals. Even more alarming, finally, Newsweek April 4, 2014 warns that media coverage of suicide, especially high-profile people, can encourage a copycat epidemic and suicide contagion. The Washington Post August 12, 2014 concedes that even well-intentioned coverage can increase suicide because of duration, prominence, suicide method, photos of grieving loved ones, or of death location. Because individuals can now reach millions, a person's death may be glamorized. Like the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences tweet, seen by 69 million, unintentionally presenting Robin Williams' suicide as an option by quoting Aladdin, "Genie, now you're free." After decades helping people see past transitory pain, Officer Kevin Briggs retired as the guardian of the Golden Gate Bridge and now calls suicide preventable, which represents the same strategy for us. Individually, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education's website, last accessed March 10, 2015, recommends we stop treating suicide as taboo, including never shame someone, acknowledge their pain is legitimate, and cooperate to find professional help. If you know one of the million Americans each year who attempt suicide, the August 13, 2014 New York Times highlights that the American Association of Suicidology now finally welcomes survivors to speaker bureaus, because education itself doesn't affect much. Contact does. Previously prescribed silence, suicide survivors like Craig Miller advocate in the August 28, 2014 Boston Globe to speak to a suicidal heart with a suicidal heart. As we become proactive nationally, Congress recently passed a bipartisan bill to increase funds to reduce suicide among veterans. So if they agreed on something, we must demand efforts that include everyone. Effective prevention includes all medical practitioners using screening tools that assess current risk factors and suicide intent, mirroring Michigan's Henry Ford Health System, last accessed March 23, 2015, which affirms has led to 2.5 years with no patient suicide. To aid this, the National Institutes of Health must increase suicide research to match conditions currently killing less Americans. As Nature magazine, May 21, 2014 points out, that the American Psychiatric Association must define suicide as its own disorder rather than a symptom. There is hope, as the March 11, 2014 Seattle Weekly affirms, that deaths decreased with traditional media's previous coverage of Kurt Cobain's suicide, by withholding details that provoke suicide, and by promoting helplines. By interrupting thoughts and limiting means of harm, NBC Denver, February 27, 2015, heralds suicide can become like diseases we have eradicated from the human race. We have examined the tragedy of suicide and the causes and solutions for its rise. Although we've ignored it, suicide is preventable, and it can start with something as simple as a card from the National Prevention Lifeline, available for you guys today. 3 years before his suicide, author David Foster Wallace wrote, "The most obvious, ubiquitous, important realities are the hardest to see and talk about. Suicide cannot remain one of those realities. Despite how hard it is, we must see the struggle of those who've left us and talk with survivors still here."